You may remember the study that they did a little while ago where they went to a town. They had two comparable schools, they were middle schools, and they were pretty much toe to toe in size and everything. And each one of them had a big amount of yard and playground area. And they did an experiment. And one of them, they decided to not put a fence around it, but just to have the grassy part go way out to its boundary. And the other one, they decided to establish a fence around the entire premises of the school structure and the whole grounds. Well, after observing carefully, they found that what is going to make these students feel more free and comfortable where they're at? They found at the school that did not have a fence that they were kind of huddled towards the building. They didn't expand themselves out to the perimeters, but they kind of stayed closer to the building. And they played there, they talked there. And the school that had the fence put up around the premises, they had a different experience. The kids felt free to go out to the perimeters, and they threw the footballs and they ran and they explored and they filled the whole yard because it had a fence around it. By way of analogy, this fence is like the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments, along with the moral guidance and faith and morals that the church gives to us. Sometimes people go, the commandments constrict me. They limit my freedom. They don't let me be who I'm supposed to be. But ironically and paradoxically, it's precisely the commandments that the Lord gives us and the teaching it's that fence that goes to the outside of our world. We have this whole field that we can go. And because of the Ten Commandments, we know what we can do. We know what we cannot do. Because of the teaching of the church, we have clear teaching, so we can just be expansive and creative and live our life in the world in a beautiful way. The Lord gives us the commandments not to constrict us, but to set us free to live our lives. And Jesus expounds he gives us 3 commandments today. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, and don't lie, basically, is what he's saying. But Jesus, you notice in his treatment that Jesus doesn't just focus on external realities, but he goes to the heart. He says, not only are we to avoid being a murderer by, we shouldn't physically kill somebody, we have to get rid of a murderous heart, right? And we have to replace that murderous heart with a life-giving. Instead of taking life, we have to have a consistent life ethic. And we have to have a life-giving heart. And as far as not committing adultery, you shouldn't do that act with anyone, but he also says, work on having a heart. Get rid of your adulterous, lustful heart and try to have your heart transformed into Christ, where you look at people not as an object for your gratification, but you look at them with great respect. How can I most love and support them in their life? So to move from a lustful heart to a respectful heart, a pure heart. And then, of course, he wants us to get rid of our deceptive heart. He doesn't want us to lie. He wants us to speak the truth in love. But, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He rides on the white horse, and his name is faithful and true. So the more that we speak the truth, the more conformed we are with the mind and heart and reality of God. So let's take a look at these 3 again. Thou shalt not murder. Again, it means more than just don't take somebody's physical life. I spoke a couple weeks ago about gossip and slander. And someone brought up to me the point. They said, when we gossip and we slander, that's character assassination. We can murder people with our words, can't we? We can murder their spirit, and we can hurt their heart. And remember that gossip is the truth about somebody that will hurt their reputation. Slander is a lie about somebody. You might even think it's true, but it's a lie about somebody that will hurt their reputation. Okay, I already covered that. I'm going to focus probably more on the second one. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Again, it means a lot more than just not crossing lines with somebody else other than your wife, or, we have to have a pure heart and a heart that respects other people. We have to be pure on the inside. This doesn't happen overnight, my friends. It's a lifelong struggle and journey for most people. Purity is really a struggle for a lot of people. And I'm just going to say, I want to address something and maybe even give some helpful teaching to you. Many people come to me in counseling and they're struggling with pornography. There's a lot of cyber sins out there. All you have to do is click on, and you can go places. You can go about anywhere you want to go to see whatever you want to see. And we have to just take a firm stance against it. The first thing is, the minute you have any temptation to go there, or if something pops up on your screen, get rid of it. Don't give it 3 seconds. Immediately just stop. That's probably the best thing. I've helped a lot of people make vast improvement getting rid of this addiction. And it's really got hold of a lot of people. And I do it in 4 steps. We don't have time today to do that right now. I'm going to do the default button. Okay? I'm going to just give you, if you don't remember anything about how to deal with pornography and sexual sins and temptation, and by the way, this works with other sins as well. But I find this really works with those who are struggling with pornography. Now listen, I'm going to give you the point. This really is helpful. If you do this, you will find great improvement and maybe complete conquering of this. So, the devil comes to you and he says, I'm going to make you feel real good. You've been under a lot of stress lately. This will help you. Oh, I'm going to give you this great little experience. Oh, you're only human, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And so, the devil promises to deliver something to you. He promises to deliver happiness and fulfillment to you. What does he do? The exact opposite. He steals your light. He steals your joy. He steals your happiness, and he puts you in a state of darkness and unhappiness. And so what I want to propose to you is this. If you are tempted in this way, and Satan, the devil, comes at you and he says, you go ahead and do this. Okay, you ready? This is what works. Are you ready? Okay, this is what I want you to do. He's coming and he's promising to deliver. What are you going to do? Liar. Just point your finger at him and say, liar. That's not true. You're not going to make me feel happy. You're going to make me feel like crap. This is not going to work. So what are you going to say? What are you going to say? There you go. And that's kind of the default. Okay, there's 3 other things. Not going to get into it now. But you just have to call him what he is, a liar. This is not going to bring you fulfillment. It's going to take away fulfillment. So you just point your finger and say, that's what you need to do. The scriptures are very clear. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. One of the best ways you can resist him is just to call him what he is. He's the accuser. He's a liar from the beginning. This is scriptures tell us. So just call him out on it. You're a liar. And I gotta tell you, lots of people have said, that just snapped me out of it and made me have a wonderful day. So try that. And you can try that with other sins. Okay, you're in the store. Let's say you're a shopaholic. And I'm just going to go briefly. Oh, I need these shoes and these shoes and these shoes. Oh, is it okay to have some things? Yeah, no problem. That's not sinful. But you got to just say, this is not going to make me fulfilled. That's a lie. Let's just get one pair and stop there, So this can be applied to many areas. The third thing is, I just called the devil a liar, right? He's a liar. So Jesus, in the third part, says, don't lie. Don't be like the devil. Now, recently, Pope Francis gave a talk on gossip and slander. He must have heard my homily that day. I gave that a couple weeks ago. And he talked about the same thing. He talked about how the devil, will just, whenever we're gossiping or slandering and telling lies like that, we've turned into the accuser. We've turned into his instruments. So Jesus says, don't lie. Speak the truth. Because if you want to be godly, speak the truth. If you want to be ungodly or devilish, be a liar. And today he makes it very clear. He says, say yes when you mean yes, no when you mean no, and anything after that's from the devil. It's from the evil one. So just speak the truth with love. There's a certain integrity and Christ-likeness in us when we tell the truth. And I have to say, one of the biggest lies that we tell, they're the lies that we tell to ourselves, right? We lie to ourselves sometimes as well. And so we need to just get in the truth of the gospel. The first reading is very clear that we have a choice to choose good and to experience joy in our life, or to choose evil and be sad. So you want to be joyful? If you want to be sad, choice is yours. What kind of choices do you make in your life? Virtue brings with it joy, and vice, from which we get viciousness, brings with it great dissatisfaction and sadness. And I want to close with a beautiful quote. I studied at Loras College, and I came home from Loras, and Monsignor McAvoy, the guy who baptized me, was chaplain at Marian Home, and I'd go to Mass there, and I was sitting there, and he brought this little red book out, and the red book was called Holiness of Priesthood. And there was a quote in there. He said, I want you to read this book, but I want you to especially read this quote. And it went, if your days would be filled with love, joy, and light, then be a priest, and be a priest with all of your might. But life like a nightmare weighs on the heart of the one who is but a priest in parts. Okay? Give yourself totally over. And then, of course, as I read that, I look at you and I go, we apply this to you as Christians. So I'm going to say to you, if your days would be filled with love, joy, and light, be a Christian with all of your might. But life like a nightmare weighs on the heart of the one who is but a Christian in part.